Hey everybody, it's me, Charlotte360, and welcome to Chapter 7 of our Shine Book Club series. I just finished Chapter 7, and this chapter pretty much put the nail in the coffin of me despising Rachel, who is our lead character, who is our protagonist, who is the person that we're supposed to root for. Like, it's little things and big things in this chapter that make me feel like Rachel's one of the worst people on earth. And you know, I get it. I understand that in order to reach the level of celebrity that K-pop idols reach, you have to be very invested in yourself. You have to be very kind of self-centered, a bit narcissistic, but you have to do what it takes to get to the top. But there's so many things that happen in this chapter that just are uncalled for kind of thoughtlessness that I am surprised that Jessica let slip in this book that she didn't think of. So it starts with the beginning of the chapter. Jason, who is the one who saw her in the secret idols dating club, sees Rachel and goes over to go talk to her. Now, the last time Rachel saw Jason, she had vomited on his shoes, if you recall. So you would think at some point very early on in their seeing each other again, Rachel would apologize for vomiting all over his shoes and saying thank you for helping her out with her audition. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the back and forth between Jessica and Rachel, not Jessica, Jason and Rachel. I'm going to do a lower voice for Jason, a higher voice for Rachel, and I'm just going to read the words of dialogue. I'm not going to read any of their internal monologue, any of the actions, just the dialogue. So if I skip around and I have big gaps in between, I know what I'm talking about. What are you doing here? You're the one sitting at my regular table. Let me guess, you're stalking me? I think I make you nervous. Nope. I think you're delusional. Really? Because your face is turning red. Warm, too. Excuse you, I don't remember saying you could touch me. You're right. I'm sorry. I just want to make sure you're feeling okay. We don't want anyone getting sick in Chung Yina's fine establishment. It would chase all the K-drama actors away. They're notoriously weak-stomached. Wonderful timing. How'd you know this is exactly what I needed? I forgive you, by the way, for the puking. I mean, I had to throw away my favorite sneakers, but other than that. Thanks. Glad to know someone is laughing about the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me. Okay, I was kidding about the shoes. But seriously, I know how nerve-wracking these DB auditions can be. I've been there. Thanks, for real. Did you hear an apology there? Did you hear like a deep thank you for trying to save my ass during my audition? Did you hear any of that in that conversation? Yes, Jason might have been being a bit smarmy, but she could have at any point broke in and been like, hey, I just want to say sorry about puking on you. She could have talked about what happened the night before. If anybody would understand, I think it would be Jason because he is an idol. I'm sure way more drastic shit has happened to him in his lifetime. But she doesn't try to apologize to him. She doesn't explain what happened. She just launches into her same little kind of like back and forth flirty deal. And I do not like that. I do not like people who don't have common decency and manners. And it's good manners and common decency to apologize for vomiting on somebody. So already I'm off put by that. But her and Jason start talking, and we're supposed to get glimpses into their cute conversation about how they're just they have so much in common, but yet they're so different. So they have this conversation about food in Korea. Now, I actually really enjoy this conversation, but I also highly disagree with this conversation because I'm a big fan of cheese. Cheese and I would say cheese and eggs are the only thing that keep me from going vegan. So they are served a dessert at this club. And when they're served the dessert, Jessica, Jessica, Rachel talks about how it's better than the last dessert she has. So it starts like this. Mom brought home pastries and I grabbed one thinking it was fruit or something, but really it was sausage with corn and some kind of weird sugary sauce. Sausage bread masquerading as a normal pastry, Jason says, dropping his spoon. He shakes his head in disappointment. The worst. Why do Koreans have to put hot dog in everything? I say, scooping up another spoonful of creamy panna cotta. And cheese, Jason adds. They love adding cheese to everything. Cheese ramyun, cheese kimbap, cheese dakgalbi, cheese sausage. He laughs. Can you add extra cheese sausage to your cheese sausage? Of course, this is Korea. You can get cheese sausage. We both burst out laughing, and for a second I let everything else melt away. First of all, I love fucking cheese. I already said that. I love cheese. Also, like that is a fun little kind of cute back and forth, but it's also like them sharing their shade, which I'm also beginning to wonder is Jason actually a nice person? Because it's like, hey, you know what's funny? Insulting things. But I thought it was interesting bringing about the fact that, Korea does have some very interesting taste when it comes to their food. I'm not a big fan of sugar over salt. I prefer my stuff to either be salty or to be sweet. And if it is going to be a salty sweet, I like it to be spelled out ahead of time. And I noticed that Korea puts a lot of sugar in places where I would never normally have sugar. Like they put sugar on their eggs, they put sugar on their corn dogs. It's a lot of sugar in places that I just don't see it for sugar. Um, so I get it, but at the same time, like, here's the thing. Rachel, a big part of her conflict in this story as a character is the fact that Rachel is Korean American and she feels like she's treated as an outsider in Korea because she didn't grow up with a lot of the same things that people born in Korea have. Like culturally, there's still some manners she has to understand. Her pronunciation might be a little bit off. She's just not, she doesn't feel native. But she spends a lot of time mocking all the things that are native. And it's like, girlfriend, you want to be a K pop artist. You want to be embraced by the Korean public, but you spend a lot of time picking on the food or picking on the manner system and kind of running against it. So really, do you want to be accepted as Korean in Korea, or do you just want to be a star in the place where you think it would be easiest for you to become a star? And I don't say that lightly. I say that like with my whole head invested, because one of the things that I've heard from K-pop idols and K-pop celebrities who were raised in America is that they felt like being in America, being in Canada, there weren't a ton of roles for Asian people. And they felt like they would have a better chance of reaching fame and success in Korea because you can be an Asian star in Korea because everyone there is Korean. And so they went back home in order to be able to achieve stardom. And I feel like that's the thing with Rachel. She said that K-pop made her feel like being Korean isn't odd anymore. But she wants to become something that actually is odd in Korean society, being a K-pop idol. Not everybody in Korea is a K-pop idol. So she actually is aiming towards standing out in a society where she felt like she would fit in. And a lot of the things that she demonstrates in this book are ways in which she plans to not fit in and is never going to try to fit in. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting. So after her and Jason have this little back and forth, the people who are in the band with Jason, the Next Boys, there's this little stage inside this club that they're at, and the band gets on the stage and they're like, hey, if you want free drinks, you have to sing. And that's when Rachel remembers, oh yeah, I'm here because I'm trying to make a viral video. And she sees Eugen in the corner with her cell phone out, and she's like, oh shit, this is it. This is how I'm going to make this viral video. So Jason is like, hey, you don't have to sing. We'll just get drinks. Apparently, Jason was not in on this plan. Nobody told Jason this is what was going to happen. Rachel pulls Jason out from the table and is like, come on, let's give him something to talk about. This is another example of where I feel like Rachel is a bad person. I have no big issue with Jason being a part of Rachel's plan to go viral. Like, I think that's actually pretty smart. I mean, what goes viral more than a celebrity doing something cool? Like, that's an easy way to achieve virality. But not telling Jason that he was going to be viral is a problem for me. And the reason why it's a problem for me is that Jason, out of the two of you, has the most to lose at this point. If you never make it as a K idol, yeah, you lose all the time you spent in Korea trying to become an idol, but you don't lose a career that you've never had. You know what I'm talking about? Whereas Jason has a career. And if he does something on stage or says something on stage that could be a detriment to his career because he didn't know somebody was secretly filming him, that could be a problem. So why wouldn't you tell him, like, Jason, Eugen brought me here because she wants to film me to help me go viral because I had that horrible audition. But she could have said that very early on when they were talking about the audition and her puking on his shoes. Like, listen, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to sing. If you don't want to sing with me, you don't have to. But this may be my big break, so I'm just letting you know now. It's up to you what you want to do, but I'd love to sing with you. She could do something like that. She doesn't do that. She just pulls him up there, and she even says, I feel bad for using him, but I've got to take my shot. Okay. She's a user type of person. Rachel just uses people. So they get up there, and it's time to start singing, and they're singing a song by Eugen's mom. The first verse is Jason's verse, and Rachel's supposed to come in the chorus, and she doesn't because she's got stage fright, which, my God, girl, you have been trying to be an idol for 6 years as a trainee. How are you still fucking nervous to stand on stage with people and sing? Also, I feel like if a trainee after 6 years isn't comfortable on camera, she wouldn't be a trainee anymore, no matter how good she is. Because I feel like trainees are asked to do public things to get them prepared to be in public. Like trainees are asked to do busking and stuff like that, and different performances for like CEOs that visit the company. Like they do things to prepare them to be in front of much larger crowds. For instance, I know that Lay, who is in EXO legally, I guess, he was a background dancer for Shiny at one point. So yeah, they do things to get them stage ready. So why, after 6 years, are you still having such a hard time doing your damn job? So eventually something happens that reminds her of her sister, and she knocks her stage fright, and her and Jason sing, and it's magical, and Jason reaches out his hand to touch her cheek, and she leans into the palm of his hand, and ooh, magic. And Eugen films it. So we've done what we need to do. So Rachel gets back to the house, is checking her Finsta. Her mom comes in the door, and her mom apparently is super hypercritical. And her mom asked her if she's done her homework, which she hasn't. Then her mom's like, you need to clean this room. Then her dad comes home, and her mom's like, honey, come in here and see this pigsty that your daughter lives in. Now, this is another line from chapter 7 that again reinforces to me that Rachel is one of the worst people on earth. Appa joins her in my room. There are dark bags under his eyes, and it looks like he's lost some weight since the last time I saw him. Late nights at the gym and night school seem to be taking their toll on him. Maybe I should offer him some of Juhyun's depuffing eye cream. Your dad, you are the only person in the family that knows. Your dad has been running the gym and going to night school for a law degree. You see your dad after, I guess, not seeing him for a while, who knows how long. And I'm assuming it hasn't been that long. I'm assuming 2 weeks at the most. You see your dad after 2 weeks. You notice your dad has got eye bags and that he's lost weight. And instead of thinking, I need to start dropping by the gym after school and bringing dad food because I think he must not be eating because he's lost weight. Instead, it's, I should bring him some eye cream for those bags. Rachel is so fucking vapid. She is so incredibly vapid. So her dad's kind of like, Rachel, will you clean your room tomorrow? She's like, yeah, dad. I'm like, okay, crisis solved. Then her sister Leah comes in the room, and her sister Leah wants to talk about this show, Oh My Dreams, which Rachel knows about the show because she saw the 2 leads of that show kissing at the club. Instead of telling her sister about it or anything about what happened at the club, she's like, get out of my room, kid. Which, again, Rachel apparently has this close relationship with her sister, and her sister helped her sneak out of the house to go to the trainee house. And she knows that her sister is lonely because her sister hasn't been able to make friends in Korea because they don't really like these Americans. And every time they find out the sister is a trainee, they're kind of like, whatever, she doesn't have any good gossip. Why wouldn't you talk to your sister? Why wouldn't you give her a little reward for how she helped you out? No, get out of here. I'm busy trying to see whether or not it's gone viral. So finally, one of her friends hits her up and is like, hey, Rach, look at this. And she sees that the video clip of her and Jason has gone viral. It's got 200,000 likes. Woo, big stuff. And yeah, that's cool, I guess. But this is what she says. And again, like I said, Rachel is incredibly narcissistic and self-centered. I lie in my bed and hold my phone against my chest, a huge smile spreading across my face. Any feeling of guilt I had earlier washes away as I watch the likes rack up and I let out a giddy scream. I did it! I freaking did it! I'm one step closer to my second chance and I'm not gonna let it pass me by. Bitch, you did nothing. You did absolutely nothing. Jason did that. Nobody would care about that video if it wasn't for Jason. Even the comments say as much. They're like, oh my gosh, is that Jason Lee's Yochin? Her voice is amazing. They sound so good together. Full Moon Lover reveal. OMG, this song. I'm crying. Where do I download this? Only one comment had anything to say about your voice. The rest of it was like, I love this song. I love Jason. Get over yourself, friend. Get over yourself, friend. Like, and then her sister knocks on her door because her sister sees it come across her Instagram. And she could have told her sister, like, hey, listen, tonight you might see something incredible. I'm about to be famous. Does not share that with her sister at all. Doesn't share it with her sister at all. So yeah, we definitely don't like Rachel. Now, there's one thing in here that I found interesting that may be a little bit of tea. Well, it's not tea, honestly. It's just something that I thought was an interesting commentary to make on here. And of course, it's not going to matter very much because Jessica obviously doesn't care about any world outside of her own. She gets peripherals, but she doesn't get much. So this is the passage. I offer him a fresh napkin. Maybe you should write it down, I joke. Okay, so anyway, let me give the setup because otherwise, if I start in the middle, it doesn't make any sense. So, this is back when they were flirting before they decided to sing the song together, and she had drawn some outfits on a napkin, and Jason notices that she draws outfits. And I guess she got tired of talking to him about her drawing outfits, so she balls up the napkin and throws it into his coffee, which fucking rude because he was drinking that. Why would you do that? So he says, you did not just do that. It's nothing, just some silly outfits, and that coffee is way too sweet. I'm saving you from getting diabetes. He pulls out the sodden napkin with two pinched fingers and groans. How sad. Perfectly good coffee ruined by your doodling. That's not a bad line, actually. I offer him a fresh napkin. Maybe you should write it down, I joke. You know if DB ever decides to let any of you write your own lyrics. I expect him to crack another joke, but his face is serious. He laughs gruffly, dropping the wet napkin on the table. You don't know the half of it. A dark look crosses his face, one I've never seen on him before. All traces of his charming firecracker energy fade for a moment, and his shoulders slump forward, subdued. Jason, are you okay? He opens his mouth like he's about to answer, but before he can, the high-pitched squeal of a microphone interrupts him. So that's as far as they get into the conversation about writing lyrics. I find it to be a little bit shady and a little bit tea about the whole wanting to write your own lyrics because this book is set in 2020. Jessica was with SM way before then. Way before then. And initially, when Jessica was a trainee, no, boy groups didn't get to write their own lyrics. That wasn't a thing that they did. But things have changed a lot. A lot. And I don't know if it's just that maybe because Jessica is no longer a K-pop idol, she doesn't keep up with K-pop. But having your trainees or your artist write lyrics of their own is not some novel thing at SM anymore. It is the thing that boys are expected to do. Now, girl trainees, it is a little bit harder for them to get in on the writing thing. But when it comes to like male trainees, it's almost a given that the fans expect the male trainees, especially if they're a rapper of a group, to be writing. Like it is a thing now. And I'm like, Jessica, I get that you aren't a part of the scene anymore, but my gosh, BTS is everywhere. You can't have just avoided K-pop since you left Korea. You can't have just avoided music since you left Korea. So she has to know that like that's not a thing anymore. Nowadays, people are expected to write their stuff. Look at 17. They're expected to practically self-produce everything that they do. Look at BTS, who Rapmon and Suga and J-Hope and even some of the vocalists get like big ups when they write their own stuff. Over at JYP, Stray Kids practically does all of their own writing. GOT7, that's a standard for them. And honestly, while Jessica was at SM, Jungin had started writing lyrics. He had started writing lyrics very early on. He wrote the lyrics to Juliet. She was very much at SM during that time. So it's just like, what are you trying to say here? Maybe it'll be more explained later on in the book, but it would have been something if it had been explained that the reason why they don't let the artist write the lyrics is because then they'd have to share royalties, or if the reason they don't let the artist write the lyrics is because the agreements they have with the songwriters that you have to use the songwriter's lyrics. Any of that would have been good to explain, to go into. But the fact that you bring it up like as if DB just doesn't let anybody ever do that, it just seems to me like you're stuck in a way, way back past. Like you're stuck in a past that, at least for the last 10 years, hasn't been a thing anymore. And I expect better of you. As a person writing a book, doing research to write a book, I expect better of you. So that's where we are at the end of chapter 7. Chapter 8, I'm certain is going to be filled with Mina being jealous because of the clandestine recording of Rachel and Jason singing together, and DB saying, Rachel, we've decided that we need you and Jason to be together because this thing is just mad hot. And so I'm expecting that to happen. Okay, so I'm going to read some stuff that Sky Sapphire says. Sky Sapphire says, what a fail, LOL. I agree. Rachel is a fail. That's probably how she treated Crystal back then, LOL. Yeah, if Leah is supposed to be an avatar for Crystal, I feel really bad for Crystal because it really does seem like her sister just did not care about her at all because she was chasing her own dreams. And I often wondered why Crystal seemed to have stayed with SM even though Jessica was gone. And I could see that, Crystal was probably like, why would I follow my sister when she never gave a fuck about me when I was going through life? And yeah, if this is a mirror of their relationship, Jessica has been a shit sister. Like straight up, she's been a shit sister. Like I have a little brother and we're 5 years apart. And my little brother used to get on my last nerve when we were growing up in the same house together. In fact, after I moved out the house, it was kind of hard to be friendly again because he tested me. He tested me. But as brothers and sisters growing up together in the household together, if our parents were struggling, we talked about that. We may not have talked about it like in depth and been like, hey, what can we do to save their relationship? But we'd be like, okay, you know what? Dad's been tripping lately, so maybe both of us need to stay out of his way. Something like that. Or like, mom told us that we need to clean the kitchen. You do this, I'll do that. Like there was still some communication there. It just seems to me like Rachel, the character Rachel, doesn't have time for her sister in any way, shape, or form. And it sucks because, again, as she reminds us, if she becomes a K-pop idol, that's going to make all the sacrifices that her family has taken worth it. So she acknowledges her family has made a lot of sacrifices in order for Rachel to be where she is right now, and for her to not look out for her dad's health because he uprooted his life in order to move to Korea, for her not to try to find a way to open positive communication with her mother, for her to ignore her little sister when she knows her little sister is having problems making friends and seems kind of isolated. It just seems to me like Rachel is just she's just a fucking narcissist. There's nothing else I can say about it. Rachel is a narcissist. And because she is a narcissist, it's very difficult to be on her side because she seems wildly unrepentant in her narcissism. And then Sky Sapphire says, yeah, they do the blind lyric test now at SM. Exactly. Nowadays, people expect their idols to be contributing to the making of the music. So that just wouldn't fly today. She was so rude over the napkin thing. Oh my gosh, let's talk about that. Okay, so in the scene where Jason is asking her about her drawing these outfits, he's like genuinely interested. Like, he's not just asking her to be an asshole. He's like genuinely saying, hey, these sketches are pretty good. And it's like the more that he notices the sketches, the angrier she gets, as if he did something wrong, which he didn't do anything wrong. He's actually being a great conversationalist. If you're sitting with somebody over coffee, tea, dinner, whatever, and you're having a conversation and they do something that's interesting, you're supposed to comment on that. And she balls up this napkin that he had been paying attention to and throws it into his coffee that he is currently drinking, and then just like shrugs it off as, oh, well, your coffee was gross anyway, so I'm actually doing you a favor. No. And this is me speaking as a fat lady. No, you're not doing me a favor. I was going to drink that. The hell do you mean? The fuck's wrong with you? I was going to drink that. So I don't see how, again, how this is the origin of a love story when Rachel is just so damn dismissive of anything that doesn't matter to her. So chapter 8 is next. And I believe that there are 26 chapters. Let me go look and see. There's 27 chapters to this book. And I just don't see the tide turning. I hope it does, but I don't see the tide turning. So let's see here. Please tell me this is not her love story with that trash. Also, wouldn't the comments for the video be more why Jason is at the club, especially with a girl? Thank you. Like, honestly, if we're being really real about what fans would think if we saw a video like this, I'll just insert some idol and we'll have the conversation. We would be really, really invested in, like, who is this girl? Are they dating? Honestly, okay, let's say we had Jungkook at a bar singing a love song with a girl, and she's like really singing and he's really singing and they're into it, and it is like a Hallmark card moment. The comments would be, who is this raggedy bitch with Jungkook? Who is this whore who's sleeping with our favorites? I want to kill this bitch. I'm gonna find out who she is. Does she have an Instagram? We're about to flame her. Like, do you remember when Jungkook got his tattoos? And there was a girl that was in a restaurant with him that he back hugged. They weren't even singing together. He back hugged her. And the comments for this girl caused her to turn off her Instagram. It was so fucking brutal. And she's like, I have a boyfriend. I'm not dating him. We're just friends. We happen to be hanging out. What the fuck? And people are like, you've corrupted our only love. He was a good boy until he met you. A pox on your house. Like, no one gave a fuck about her life or her being a human being. All they cared about is their fave. So to say that, oh, Rachel's singing is just so special that no one would even be like, hey, what is this place that they're at? What are they doing together? The fuck's going on here? Instead,
what's her line account?
Yeah, what's her line account? Does anybody know her? We need to find her. Instead, they'd be like, she has such a great voice. They're so cute together. We really like this a lot. This is great. No, that's not what the fuck would happen. Not at all. The only time a situation like that happens is if it's on TV and it's pre-scripted. Great example. There's a show in Korea where they bring out like four fans and the fans sing the song back to the idol, and then they like choose the favorite fan singer to do a duet with the idol. And Taeyong from Big Bang did Eyes Nose Lips, and he did a cover with a fan, and like the cover was really great, and they're like looking in each other's eyes and they're singing their hearts out, and it's on a sound stage with an audience. Yeah, it's really super popular. It went viral. Anyway, the reason why that could go viral and that girl wouldn't get hate is because it's on a TV program. There is context, and people understand that them looking at each other and seeming really deep into it is them being excellent performers, not because they have a relationship. That's acceptable. This is some clandestine cell phone footage that was taken in a smoky club. You don't think that people.
That's like TMZ footage.
Yeah. People are going to be all over and be like, the fuck is going on here? Is that his girlfriend? Do we need to riot? I'm going to burn all of my Jason Lee merchandise? I mean, Chen got married and had a baby. And XOL's had his shit in the street, burning it, running over it. Do you think that they'd be cool about singing? So let's see some more comments. Shallows are still ripping apart that poor trainee girl who danced with Taemin during Want promotions. Man, I wouldn't do that, but some people are rude. It would be a repeat of the tattoo artist incident. Exactly. Cassie's and else hated SNSD for being so close with them. Jessica should have known, LOL. Sasha says, feels like this was written by someone who grew up in the Western industry. Those things happen there. That's the thing. Like, okay, she doesn't acknowledge it in her acknowledgments that this book was written by a ghostwriter, but I have to believe that this was written by a ghostwriter because it almost smacks of somebody who has never experienced K-pop fandom before. And I'm not saying that Jessica couldn't understand the fans' point of view, but as an idol, she has to have seen the comments. She has to have heard the comments. They could not have escaped her purview. So she has to know that that's just not the way that fans react to these kind of things. They react very, very differently to seeing their favorites with someone of the opposite sex. Hell, I think sometimes they react really weird when they see their favorites with people of the same sex. I do smell that K-pop is a soulless factory theme that with that lyrics thing. I agree. I think with the lyrics, it very much is, they don't care about us as artists. They only care about us as, income-based cash cows. I mean, that's all fine and good, but K-pop monies make a ton of money by making their artists right. Like, don't think for a minute that the reason why 17 wrote all their shit on Pledis is because Pledis just had so much faith in them as songwriters and everything else. It was quite the opposite. Pledis was being cheap as shit, and they were making sure that 17 did all their writing and choreography and everything else because then they wouldn't have to pay somebody else to do it. In fact, they would let the artist in 17 do the choreography and then give the credits and the copyright to someone else or make it property of the company. So they weren't even getting any royalties off that shit. So it's not about like they don't have faith in the idols and they just want to make sure everything is perfectly curated. No, they started letting idols write because it's cheaper to pay your idol dust to go ahead and write a whole album than it is for you to hire the Swedish Hit Factory to come in and write stuff for your group because they got to be paid up front. They got to have a certain type of royalties worked out. Whereas your idol, you can write a shitty contract, sign them to it and be like, yeah, for every song you write, we'll give you 5 cents. So yeah, that's really what it is. That's actually what it is. But of course, again, I feel like because Jessica was not writing, she just doesn't care about that kind of stuff. And also I think that the ghostwriter doesn't care. And we were talking just a moment ago about the relationship between Jessica and Crystal. So going down the list of people to thank, the first people that Jessica thanks in her acknowledgments is her golden stars for your epic and endless support and enthusiasm. It has kept me encouraged and inspired through it all. Then she goes about like thanking all the people who got her book deal and shopped her book and the company that printed the book. No big deal. And then here we go down to the last two paragraphs. First paragraph. I owe such a huge debt of gratitude to my whole family, too, for supporting me unconditionally. To my parents, you were always there for me and let me be who I wanted to be. And most especially, Crystal, the best sister one could ever wish for. I love you with all my heart. Last paragraph. Lastly, I want to thank Tyler. You've been with me through so much of my journey, and I couldn't have done this without you. Your fervor and passion to help is above and beyond. I can't wait to see what the next adventure brings. Exactly, Sarah. She thanked Tyler on a whole separate paragraph than her sister Crystal or her parents. They got lumped into this is the family section. This is the section for my man. Not only that, but her acknowledgement of Tyler screams narcissism. It's not about how much I've enjoyed being your partner, how we're fulfilling each other, what we do for each other. It is you've been with me through so much of my journey, and I couldn't have done this without you. Your fervor and passion to help is above and beyond. What I mean, everybody knows that her and Tyler are going together. Where is the love? So honestly, where's the love? Where's the love? I mean, Tyler, I'm not a big fan of his. I think that he ruined playback, but at the same time, like I feel like he deserves a tad bit more affection than this. It's not a secret that y'all go together, and this doesn't make it seem like you're trying to keep it a secret. So like, why not just be like, "Hey, I love you." And what's wrong with she avoids saying I love you, or I care about you deeply, or you've been my rock, and I'm glad to be sharing this journey with you. Instead, it's thank you for helping me on my way. You've been the best. If I was him, I might would reconsider my relationship. I might would think that maybe we're not as tight as I thought that we were because she doesn't talk about you as if she cares about you. Not saying, just saying. But anyway, I have I have drug out this review of chapter 7 for far more than it actually deserves. And so I'm going to go. I will see you again on Tuesday for chapter 8. I realize that I'm saying a lot about these chapters, but I mean, I'm reading them in a pace that I feel like everybody should be able to come up with. And so, in order to justify waiting 2 days, I kind of got to give you a little bit more content because honestly, I probably knock these out in 5 minutes, like 5 minute reviews, if I really wanted to. But I figure since you wait 2 days between chapters, I deserve to give you a little bit more. But if I was reading this at my own pace and I had to do a book club based on my own personal pace, I could absolutely give you the review on this entire book in probably 3 days. And that's like including work days, because I'd have to read it after I got off work and then I still have BLs that I'm watching and all that other stuff. But yeah, if I was doing this at my own pace, this would be in 3 days. Doing it at a pace where I'm trying to make sure everybody can catch up, people still have a chance to buy their own copies of the book and so on and so forth, and also trying to dig into the smaller details of things, that makes it take a little bit longer. But outside of that, I mean, I am enjoying these conversations. I am enjoying your feedback. I love hearing from you guys, but it's just, this is a slog. And I see what Sarah said about, I hate the fact that this book is a bestseller. I'm not surprised that this book is a bestseller because at the end of the day, even though SNSD OT9 hasn't performed in quite a while, there are a lot of legacy fans, both in Korea and outside of Korea. And we still want to know what the hell happened. Like, we've all been sitting on the sidelines of Jessica saying this and the girls really saying nothing and SM having their word. And we are invested into what actually happened that pushed her away from the group. So, in a lot of ways, the bestseller aspects of this have everything to do with us kind of wanting to have the answers to the questions about what went wrong. So I'm not surprised it's a bestseller. I'm disappointed that Jessica took what could have been the start of a legitimate writing career and decided to make it just absolute fluff and like not delicious fluff, just like, foam on a latte fluff. Fluff that really doesn't have much to it at all. It's just kind of there for appearances. Like this really could have been a scathing commentary about the way that idlehood chews you up and spits you out. It could have been real talk about, eating disorders and appearance being everything and botched plastic surgery and people getting pimped out by their record companies and all the other things that we know happens but no one really talks about. Or even if you didn't want to make it scandalous, you could have made it to where this book could have been about how hard you have to work instead of just saying in chapter 1 how hard trainees work, never actually showing us the hard work throughout the rest of the book. You could have been like, I am dancing on a twisted ankle. I'm dancing while I have the flu and I'm pumped up with medicine and I'm actually half woozy, but I have to do this anyway. The bottom of my feet are covered in blisters because I practice in heels for 3 hours a day. A lot of that could have been put in here. That's not here. And that's the reason why this is just, I don't see myself buying another book by Jessica Jung, the author. And I hope that Simon & Schuster knows that. I hope this is a one-off because the content's not there, the quality is not there. I'm not going to continue to be looking for the next big project from this author. See some more comments. Unrelated, but will there be a BL review this week from you and Mason? Yes, there will be. We're doing a review of Waterboy the movie. Waterboy the movie. Oh, are you planning to watch Miss Back? I don't know what Miss Back is, so I can't say that I plan on watching it. The only non-BL show I'm currently watching is The Tale of the Nine-Tailed Gumiho with Lee Dong-wook. I have watched episodes 1 and 2. I haven't watched 3 and 4 just yet, but I already love it. I think it's amazing. Some clips I've seen are pretty interesting and made me feel so bad for them. It seems like a Wattpad fan fiction turned into a book. It really does. This seems like a Wattpad fan fiction turned into a book. I'm looking forward to the review then. Wish you the best. Also, by the way, Sasha, thank you for supporting us on our Boys Love reviews. We really, really appreciate it. We have been reviewing a lot of things and we're getting to the point now where we're kind of running out of things that we necessarily want to review. Not that there aren't still some things we want to review, like both of us really want to review Sodus, but we haven't yet. I would like to review Theory of Love. I'm not sure if Mason is interested because he didn't really like it the first time he watched it, but it may be something that he feels is worth reviewing. And there's a ton of stuff that's coming out in Boys Love that we're both looking really forward to seeing. Manner of Death, both of us are like psyched for that. Tharn Type 7 Years Later is supposed to be coming out. And The Space Between Us, I think, has been pushed back to 2021. So we were both looking forward to that, but I believe it's been pushed back. But yeah, there's a lot of really fun stuff happening in Boys Love, so we're going to continue to review it, and I hope that people will join us for that because we have a really good time. I hope that some people watched Diary of Tootsie after we did our review for Diary of Tootsie because that was a ton of fun. But I am thinking about maybe doing some BL discussions here on this channel. In fact, one of the things I've really been thinking about discussing on this channel is the Boys Love Hello Stranger. It's not something that I think that me and Mason will get to on his channel, but it's something that I really want to talk about because I actually really enjoyed Hello Stranger. And I feel like while a lot of people talked about it while it was airing, I don't think as many people have talked about it since it stopped airing. And it deserves to be kind of given an overall review rather than an episode by episode because there's just a lot of really cute and fun things that I think happen in Hello Stranger that would be fun to talk about. And then like I watch a lot of bad BLs. Like Sasha was saying, it's been kind of quiet on the BL front, to be honest with you. Like a lot of the stuff that's airing in Thailand has been super fucking boring, but I still want to talk about them because I've already invested the time. So I don't know if Mason will want to review Oxygen and My Year Your Gown, but I'm watching them and I feel like since I'm watching them, I should talk about them. So I might still do some more BL reviews here on this channel. don't expect me to do it all the time, but it may come back to this channel that I do some of those BL reviews. Yes, I agree. Sasha, I think that you and me might feel the same about My Girl, Your Gown. The lead for My Girl, Your Gown fucking sucks. But JJ and Fiat, who are like the secondary friends, they have so much chemistry, and it really is a shame that they are not the main couple because I could watch them all damn day. Oxygen, I'm feeling a lot for the secondary couple on Oxygen. Like, I want to see where they're going, but the main couple, one of the leads has dead eyes and the other one has a dead face. Like the one lead who is Solo, at least you can tell that like he's trying a little bit, but his eyes just don't do anything. But the other guy who plays guitar, his whole face, like you can't tell if he's angry, you can't tell if he's happy, you can't tell if he's sad. It's just like, what the fuck is going on? But guitars, no, not guitars, Solo's brother, his ship actually looks like it might have a little spice. The guy who's in love with Solo's brother, I like him immensely. I hope I get to watch him in several shows because he's doing it for me. He's doing it for me in a big way. And then there's the doctors who are fake dating, who are going to end up real dating, and whatever that is. Whatever. But yeah, I will talk about that in a different video. I'm not going to talk about it here, but thank you guys for watching this review. And I guess what I'll do is I'll hang up and then I'll get back on with a different live stream so I could talk a little bit about Boys Love with Sasha. So Sasha, hang in there. I'll be right back for you. Thanks, guys. Bye.